And with us to talk about the political as well as the security situation in the country is Adrian Zuckerman, former U.S. ambassador to Romania. Thank you very much for joining us tonight.
Thank you very much for having me. It's a pleasure to be with you tonight.
Well, thank you. Now, I would like to start with the European parliamentary elections. We know that for the first time, Romania is going to send far-right politicians to Brussels, even though the country's center-left still maintained their votes, the right amount of votes, the increased amount of votes, and they're going to form a coalition. But what does it say about the political situation in Romania and the climate there?
Well, I'm not sure you're correct about the center-left. I think Romania is fairly balanced. I think the movement that we've seen in the rest of Europe with the center-right parties obtaining a fairly substantial number of additional Euro parliamentarians is what's significant here. I think the changes in Romania have been fairly minimal, and I think the number of the far-right parties very small. I think it's maybe four or five, nothing of significance. And they come from two different parties. So it's, I think of all the European countries, the change in Romania has been the least of all of them.
Right, sir, but there are certain individuals. I have a name here, Diana Șoșacă, a very controversial parliamentarian. She's also going to the European Parliament. And she is known for being pro-Russian, going to Russian ambassadors' parties and so on. So I was wondering on what platform was she elected? Because the EU Parliament has been trying to sort of rid itself, right, of people sort of linked to Russia and of Russian agents, Russian influence and so on. So how come that she got elected and she's going?
You know, if I had the answer to that, I could probably solve a lot more problems in the world that I'm able to do. God knows why anybody in their right mind would have voted for this person and her party. She's been a controversial person in Romania. She's engaged in many acts of hooliganism and disruptive behavior in the parliament here. She has a close relationship to the Russians. My guess is she could be funded by the Russians. It's very unclear. So I wish the European Parliament luck.
Now, while reading about Romania, I saw that a lot is being said about that country, but it says that well, Romania is supporting Ukraine when it comes to its fight with Russia. It's also keeping the economy afloat. However, some analysts are saying that Romania demonstrated poor governance within the country when it comes to corruption, and analysts say that which has fed the rise of populism parties. Would you agree with that? Can you tell us more about that?
I think I wouldn't frame the issue exactly the way you framed it. I think that unfortunately there's corruption throughout Europe. I think it doesn't compare with the criminal networks in France, Holland, other Western European countries. I think a lot of people who want to criticize Romania criticize it for that. I don't think it's a fair criticism. Sadly, it's a country that's still trying to evolve. The revolution from 34 years ago hasn't quite been finished yet, so their systems here are somewhat different. They still have, unfortunately, about 1,400 state-owned entities. And I think when people look at that, they want to accuse everybody of being corrupt. I don't believe that's the case. And I believe, as you've seen in other issues, unfortunately, corruption and other issues are damaging all European countries. So I would not single out Romania as suffering from that issue more than any other country.
Right, so you served as an American ambassador to Romania. So let me ask you about the U.S.-Romania relations. Some are saying that Romania is one of America's key allies in the region, and of course this could be evidenced by the sort of expanding NATO base in Romania. So how do you view this relationship?
I think the bilateral relationship between Romania and the United States is excellent. I think we've made many steps forward. I think Romania and the U.S. are very close, not only on the defense side, but I think on the business side, economic side, and I think that relationship has continued to improve and increase with every day. Unfortunately, as I said before, only about 25–30% of Romania's people work in the private sector, and that private sector is working very well. Unfortunately, the government sector is not working near as well, but the private sector is working very, very well with its American counterparts, and they're courting a variety of U.S. investments in Romania. I think Romania has no better friend than the United States, and I think most Romanians know that. Unfortunately, like with all other things, which I think you've noticed over the last 2 years throughout Europe, we're in the middle of a hybrid war. The Russian disinformation machine, propaganda, and other efforts to undermine Western democracy has never been stronger or more effective. And along with the Russians are the Chinese. So I think it's a huge problem. They're all targeting Romania. I think you've seen it in your own country, which is being targeted. I think many other Western European and Eastern European countries are targets of this Russian and Chinese hybrid war. And I think a lot of the negative aspects that you mentioned earlier are a result of this hybrid war that the Russians and the Chinese are funding.
Mm-hmm. No, you're right. We are talking about the hybrid war, how European countries, especially our region, is affected by it. But can you tell us more about Romania? What areas are being targeted by Russia's disinformation and hybrid war?
All across the board, I think they're trying to stall Romania's economic development. I think they're trying to get footholds in technology, in the technology area. As you may or may not know, Romania is one of the most advanced countries in the technology area. Many people from throughout Europe come to Romania to work on the technology field. They have some of the most advanced technological companies here. And I think the Russians, especially the Chinese, are trying to get involved in that. I think they're trying to undermine their networks. I think they're spying on people. I think they're trying to slow development. And I think they're trying to sow discord. And I think we've seen that because it works to Russia's benefit, to China's benefit. If the European countries, especially the NATO countries, are not united, the only people that benefit are the Russians and the Chinese.
Right. And let me sort of ask you a little bit more about security and about Patriot systems, to be precise, because a while back, President Iohannis, when he was in the States, he said that Romania will donate its battery to Ukraine, but then I believe this was reversed. So where do we stand on this issue right now?
Well, again, let me correct you if I may. I don't think President Iohannis said he would contribute the Patriot system. I think what he said is he would consider that after meeting with his national security team. I think they're doing that. The Romanians have a number of Patriot systems on order from the United States, and I know that for a fact because those orders were placed when I was ambassador over 4 years ago. Unfortunately, as of a week ago, 10 days ago, there was only one system that was operable here. As you may have heard on the news, a second system came online within the last day, 2 days, 3 days, very recently.
Right.
So I don't know what President Iohannis and the Romanian National Security Team response will be with regard to contributing a Patriot system to Ukraine. But that's really not the issue here. The issue here is why there are not more Patriot systems available to be delivered to Ukraine. And I think a lot of that is due to the fact that the United States is still on peacetime production. They haven't increased the rate of production for the Patriots and many other systems. I think the current administration has failed in deterring Russian aggression. And I think many European countries, by not contributing their 2% Wales pledge, have undermined NATO's security. And as you well know, there's a great shortage of ammunition and armaments because many, if not most, of the NATO countries were not prepared. And this is something that has long lead times. They cannot be manufactured overnight. And basically, most of the NATO members, and I'm talking about large countries, France, Germany, Holland, failed to contribute their 2%, which is not a payment to somebody else. It's a payment to maintain requisite armaments and military supplies, such as Patriot systems and bullets and shells and other necessities. And they're not in a position to resupply the Ukrainians to the level that's necessary now.
Right. I know that NATO is pressuring, right, its members to increase the defense spending. I mean, Poland is one of the countries trying to achieve that, and I'm very glad to hear that the second battery.
If I may interrupt you for 1 second, I have to congratulate Poland, and I actually have to congratulate Romania as well, because from the very beginning, Poland and Romania have been two of the 9 countries that have really contributed their 2% every year, and especially Poland has been very responsible in pushing back against the Russian aggression. So my heartfelt thank you. They've been absolutely terrific, and I wish more European countries were like them. The Baltics are there, but France, Germany, Holland especially, and the former Prime Minister of Holland now, Mark Rutte, is being considered for Secretary General of NATO. To this day, Holland has never paid its 2%. It's just astounding to me how the Prime Minister, who not once during his tenure has caused his country to pay 2%, is being considered by the other NATO members to be Secretary General. So I would urge all NATO members ahead of their July meeting in the U.S. to reconsider that. It's a real problem. I also want to thank President Duda, who, along with President Iohannis, big proponents and founders of the 3 Cs initiative, which helped a lot of the Eastern countries push back against Chinese initiatives, push back against Russian initiatives. It's exactly what's needed in the region. And I want to thank both of them for doing an amazing job on that. And also for them leading the B9, which is the Bucharest 9 group, which discusses regularly what should be done to push back against Russian aggression and other issues facing the countries of Eastern Europe. So I think those two gentlemen deserve a very big thank you, which some people don't realize, but it's an amazing, those two projects are just amazing, and people should be made more aware of them and all the good that those projects are doing, especially for Eastern Europe. I mean, they're good for all of Europe, but especially so for the Eastern European countries.
Right, I guess it's also because Poland and Romania are both on NATO's eastern flank, right? So.
Well, it's good that Poland is setting a great example. Sir, thank you very much for joining us. Adrian Zuckerman, former U.S. ambassador to Romania. Thank you, sir.
Much appreciated.
It's my pleasure. Thank you.